Good evening, and we're on with MDFEME. I'm here with Dr. Akua Ampadu and Dr. Kristen Waul Bennett. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
We're going to be talking about mental health, and the title of this one's going to be It's Okay to Not Be Okay. So, in getting prepared for this session, I was reading up on a lot of things, and a lot of female doctors have mental issues, or I should say, mental health issues like depression, anxiety, so forth, which is expected because we have high pressure jobs. But a lot of them don't report these issues because for fear of it affecting their job in the future. And it's not just with doctors. It's everybody. We live in high pressure environment. Our society is changing. Everything happens at instant. And so it's creating this environment where it's, we don't talk about the pressures that are happening. And when something happens, it's already too far along. So we're going to talk about how we address those things and how we can try to remove the stigma, not only for our patients, but for ourselves. So let me ask you guys something. Have you ever found yourself in a place where you're like, I need to talk to somebody about what's happening? And can you give us like a scenario?
I'll speak for myself. I definitely can. I believe that just thinking about the hospital, there have been times when you've had very poor outcomes with a patient or a case. Unfortunately, somebody may pass away that you didn't expect to, or somebody maybe was very young, or you gained a very close relationship with that person or that patient. And a lot of times, no matter how strong and how much of a poker face we need to put on, it can take an emotional toll on us. Sometimes the doctor is seen as the leader of the medical team, and you have to be strong for the entire team. But, sometimes you break down inside, and there are times where tears are shed, and you really do wish that you had somebody to talk to. And a lot of times you can't find somebody to talk to because you're almost like the head of the hierarchy, and there's nobody else to talk to. You're expected to hold it together for everybody else.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I've had a specific example where I've found myself in that situation, but I mean, as Akua said, I can think of certain times that you're in a position, like have to make a call or a judgment call, and then you're put in that, as you said, a hierarchy. So it's like, who else do you talk to above you to make this decision? Because I mean, this job is like a high self expectation. I mean, you're like a high level professional, so it's like above you is not really that much persons to talk to after that. So I can say that I don't know of people to talk to above myself when you're in that situation. But myself have never been in it.
Okay, well, so to answer the question, who can we talk to? Most hospitals have what they call an EAP program. Have you guys ever heard about that? And basically, they are designed to give us, they have like counselors you can go to and support for different situations, but a lot of us don't even know that resource is available for us within the hospital. So that does exist. A question that I have for you guys now is, they mostly teach us in medical school that we shouldn't allow our own personal beliefs to kind of come into the way that we care for patients. But have you ever prayed with a patient?
I have personally prayed with a patient before. Because to me, it's like you have to think about the patient first. And if their belief is in Christianity or they believe in prayer or a higher power, I think that's a part of the whole healing process for them. So I think that we as professionals should be able to, if we feel like we can, that need to pray with them. Because I've done it before with I think it was a patient on the floor that I dealt with, and she had terminal breast cancer, and it spread to her brain, I believe it was. And then so it was like a time that she was broken down, and I know that she believes in prayer. So I asked her if she wanted to pray, and you can see after she felt there was some relief. Yes, it didn't change the situation, but in her mind there was a positive outlook. Like some kind of hope was there for her. So I have done that before.
Okay. What about you, Akuya? Have you prayed with a patient before?
Not prayed with a patient or family However, I have suggested that they pray. There are times when you can kind of sense a patient or their family's religious beliefs. Sometimes they'll have scriptures on the wall, or their Bible, or sometimes a Torah, or whatever it may be, next to their bed, or they may be wearing a cross or a Star of David, whichever it is. And there have been times where I have been, I guess, less conservative, and I've said to them, you guys need to pray, because that's the only way that X, Y, and Z is gonna work out, a lot of times. And to add to the whole religion talk, a lot of times, say you're working with a terminal patient or somebody in hospice, and the family will ask you how much longer do they have. First thing I say is, I am not God. I do not know. I did not make that
So
call.
true.
Because they expect you to say 72 hours or 3 weeks, and ultimately we can have a time frame based on the disease process, but we don't know exactly when somebody might go. So I'll say, I'm God. However, in this situation, I need you to pray. And most times, I've been hit with positive feedback. I don't think I've ever had anybody who's like, prayer, what are you talking about? But I think you need to feel the family before you go ahead and do that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had some situations very recently, actually, where I've, prayed with my my patient. Hold on, we've got Emily Shay. Hi, we're live on MDFEME. You had a hard day?
I'm sorry. It's been a struggle. I'm like getting the text messages, and I'm like, I had to reset the It's a whole thing. It's okay. I'm here.
Good job. We are here talking about it's okay to not be okay. And I was talking here with Akua and with Candice about praying with family members. Have you ever prayed with a family member in one of your patients? We're both critical care, and we see a lot of patients that are at the end. And have you ever prayed with them or your face is classic. I'm sorry. What's going on?
This is like, sorry, let me make sure my phone doesn't beep. This is such a this is a topic. Anyways, it strikes very close to home right now, because I'm not okay, and that's okay. But have I prayed with? I don't think I've ever outright prayed with a patient or their family, but I've definitely prayed for my patients and their families. Like at home, I'd be like, you create those bonds, and then they hit you, and So I can't say that I have had that experience yet, but I know it's coming.
Mm-hmm. So I was just saying to them that I recently had an experience where I was taking care of. So trauma ICU is a whole nother beast. Just want to let you know.
I can see that.
And, medical ICU, it's typically a certain age range, and it's people who have had multiple comorbidities, and they're deconditioned, and they've been through a lot. And we know that either the end is coming or whatever is happening, we have an idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
With trauma ICU, it can be very young patients and very sad stories. And I had one patient where, trying not to violate HIPAA, but very young. He's a teenager. His girlfriend was in the car with him, had a horrible MVC. He fractured multiple components in his vertebrae.
That means, please, for those who may not know what it means.
Oh, sorry. He had a motor vehicle accident where his seatbelt was on, but his airbag deployed. That tells us that that's a high impact crash. Okay. She just had some bruising, but he had multiple fractures within his spine. He also had a subdural, I believe, and he like a whiplash fracture. They come forward and they come back. And so he had what we call coup and counter coup. So there's blood in the front, there's blood in the back. And when you can't get it out fast enough, the brain swells, right? And when the brain swells, there's no way to go. He did get a craniotomy, but that didn't help. So he was herniating, and he's 19. Oh, no. And mom is in the room, and she's by herself. There's no one else. It's mom and it's the girlfriend. And I'm walking in there. I've been watching his chart peripherally because I'm on nights. And the daytime doctors have been really taking care of him. In the nighttime, there's not much for me to do but just monitor, right? And he starts to herniate. I go into the room because I'm like, I always say this, and I don't know if you guys agree. I feel that we have a choice in the way that we die when it comes to ICU, right? You know, you can die on these machines, or you can die in a comfortable setting in terms of comfort measures or a more palliative way of passing away, right? And so I go in there to talk to her, and I say, you know, everybody that goes in there, and this is something that we have to work on as doctors, talk to her in medical language. Like you just asked me to clarify what MVC is, right? Like they go in there and they talk to her in medical terms. Oh, they talk about the ICP and they talk about this and they talk about that. And she doesn't, you know, she's not 100% clear.
She doesn't speak that language.
Exactly.
One of the podcasts right there.
I know.
Exactly. That's another podcast.
I go into the room and I said, the first thing I said to her was, what do you understand about what's happening to your son right now?
Yep.
Exactly.
Trying to get her and me on the same page, you know? Yep. And then she starts trying to repeat what they've told her, because I could see that she's not come to grips with what's happening. And I just hold both of her hands and I said to her, my dear, he is dying. Despite all of our interventions, he is passing away. I had to say it. Yeah. I think honesty is the best policy, and being straight with the patient's family is the best thing we can do for them. And so, you know, talking to her, she starts to cry, you know, and I said to her, you know, is there any support system that you have around here that can be here with you now? And she's like, all of my family's away. They're all like a very long drive away too. And they thought he would be able to hold on till the morning, you know? And I was like, I don't think he's going to make it till the morning. And I said, you know, we have a choice in how he can pass, and we can make him comfortable. And so, you know, I said, she said, I want to talk to God about this one last time. That's what she said. Okay. And I said, can I pray with you? And I saw the nurse's face change. Like the nurse was like, you're going to pray with her? I guess because they have not seen that, right? But I prayed with her. I tried to make it as non-denominational as possible, but she was Christian. And I prayed with her. And this woman, after I'm done praying, she grabs me and hugs me and starts crying into my chest. And she's like, he's my only son. He's my only child. And of course, I kind of well up in tears because I'm like, I can't imagine. I'm not a mother, you know. I can't imagine how that feels, you know. You've put invested everything into this being, and now this being is going, you know. Yep. It was very difficult to see, but she decided to withdraw care. And she came to me afterwards after he passed, and she said, thank you for praying with me. And I mean, you know, we always taught we're not supposed to bring our religion, our beliefs into it, but we're not doing it for us. We're doing it for them.
For them, exactly.
Right.
You know.
But I think that's the personal side. So there's like the art and the science of medicine, right? We learn about that. And I think the science of medicine is don't bring your personal beliefs or whatever into it when you're discussing. But the art of it and the human side of it is that exists. We're not just cells and that make up, you know, organs. And right, we're not just these scientific things. Right. There's more to us. There's the executive functions of the brain. There's a spiritual part of us, or if you don't believe in anything, the non-spiritual part, whatever you choose to subscribe to. But that's part of us. So it's the truth.
Listen. No. I understand why you say what you say, because everybody in this time and in this climate, everybody is so sensitive.
Yeah.
You can't say something without offending somebody somewhere. Yeah. And you know what? Bob Marley said it best. You can't please all the people all the time. You can't
please everybody.
Exactly.
So you need to do what you need to do for what you think is right. Okay? You can't please all these people. Yes. I mean, we have we started this podcast and this video and everything and this movement, and I've gotten so much feedback from different people. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. I was like, thank you for your suggestions, but we're gonna do us, okay?
And we'll take it into consideration.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. I'll smile. Anyhow, so the next part of this conversation is, okay, so you have you have these moments, and these moments build, one after another. You've seen enough people pass away, whether it's under your direct care or not. It gets to you, right?
Sure.
Because people think that doctors are desensitized to death. We're not. We're human. It does affect us.
It's beneath us.
Exactly. They
Perfect.
think that, they don't care. And no, we do. We have feelings too. And so my question, what do you do for you out of your busy weeks? What is the thing that you do for you to preserve your mental health? What is the thing that helps you escape? Now, Lubna's not on this call. She had mentioned that she does meditation. She uses this app called Calm. All right, I'm gonna say this again. I tried Calm. It was very relaxing. And she does mindful meditation. I personally, as you guys know, do poetry and spoken word.
Yeah.
And that's my way to kind of escape. I haven't performed in years, but the writing part of it is therapeutic. What do you guys do to kind of get yourself rebalanced and rechecked?
Everyone has to have their own avenue or hobby that they enjoy to just get away and step back from medicine. For me personally, I don't know. God bless you guys in ICU, but I can do it. I saw that live, saw those people, and be like, yeah, I'm staying far from this. It's for my own health. Because I take on things a lot more than other people do. And that would mad me right there. But for me, I mean, I still see people who go through a lot, like people who, like, sons have been in illness and they'll like bring it up out of nowhere. It's like, this has nothing to do with the visit, but okay, we'll talk about it. So I mean, you still need an avenue, whichever kind of physician you are. They're still gonna talk to you about everything, any and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, it's just having, I guess, stepping away. So like when I come home, I don't talk about medicine at all. So it's like talk with you guys. It's always good to talk to other people, to be honest with you, even if you're going through those things that you're going through. So it's always good to open up and to just do fun things, like hobbies that you enjoy. So that's what I do for myself.
Okay. Anybody else want to share?
I got one really good piece of advice once from an older physician, and he said, we live in this medical world, and when you do this for so long, so many hours of the day, so many days in the month, you're surrounded by sick people, and you start to think that the whole world is sick. Recognize that it's only a small percentage. Most of the world is not this sick. He's like, you need to learn to detach yourself from the hospital, because you can have a skewed image of reality.
It's true.
And he's like, you need to make sure that, one, you interact with people who are not as sick, whether it be family, friends, do the things that you enjoy, kind of like what she said with the entertainment, whether it's dancing. Sometimes if you want to read celebrity trash, go ahead and read celebrity trash. But you need to involve yourself with people who are not sick.
Right.
You don't have that new image that everybody's terminal or chronic or dying, or somebody else has some weird anomaly or some mold that's growing. I mean, if you're not just so warped in this idea that everybody that's coming to you has a problem, and that's
Right.
how it is in reality.
What's your decompression, Emily? What do you do?
I think I do. I don't think I found one thing that has worked for me, except now that I'm thinking about it. So I've tried multiple different things. I read and non-medical, like
Support your local library. Support your local library. Okay, go ahead.
so far away, like from medical stuff. I will read, books just for leisure. If I can, when my pocket allows, I travel, and that gets me very far away from medicine. And I'm trying to think what else. Listening to music. And I think, honestly, soca music works the best for me when it comes to decompressing. Honestly, coming home from a long day, like the first thing I do is I shower, like wash it all off, and Soka is playing, and I'm there like, what? I am going by myself in my house. I'm like,
wait. FYI, for those of you who don't know what soca music is, it started in Trinidad and Tobago, the land of oil.
Look it up.
Big up Matthew Montana.
Look it
Big
up.
Anyhow,
Caribbean people.
Myself.
But that's why, like, and it just, like, everything, I don't think about anything at all. Like, I'm singing the lyrics. If I don't know the lyrics.
You need to try Burn a Boy in a Hot Shower. Batman.
Oh dear.
Never quite done that, but.
Yeah, listen. Nothing gets me over an ICU shift like that record. I'm like, this album is.
Let me pull out.
Download that. Burn a Boy.
Take some notes. Burna.
Burna Boy. B-U-R-N-A boy.
Got it.
Wait. Akua, you
No,
know the album.
Yes, it's very good. I've never listened to it while in the shower, but I thank you for your suggestion.
Listen, put it in. I'll send you a mix. I'll send you a mix. There's him, DeVito with Popcorn. That song Risky.
Yep, heard that one. Listen.
In the shower. My troubles are away.
I can only imagine.
Go down the drain.
What's your water bill looking like?
I know, right?
Hey.
Listen.
Don't watch that. Listen, when I don't pay in electricity, I make it up in water, okay?
I'm done. I'm not that extreme, but yeah.
But that's what I do. And honestly, like, on the weekends when I don't work and either I'm listening to gospel or it's soca or some kind of, music from home, because my brain just completely goes to a different place.
Very good.
And that would be the form of decompression or getting away from the hospital and the ICU that I think so far has worked for me, at least for those couple moments. It's not on the brain. And I don't do work from home. Nope.
Listen, I don't know about, some people chart at home. I don't do that.
Nope.
I don't subscribe to that.
Nope. I will stay late even though it's burning me to go home. I will stay late, finish, because once I leave, nope, I'm not on. Why am I doing work?
This is my safe place. This is no.
I don't do it.
No.
So that's my way of protecting myself. I haven't perfected it yet. I still need to do, figure out other stuff. I'm sure I should put exercising on the list, but
I was just about to say, not to mention exercise, at least 3 to 4 times a week, at least 30 minutes of cardio has been shown to help, secrete some endorphins and get you back in balance. I need to be better with that myself, but
Does doing chest compressions count as cardio? Because I mean, whenever I have to do.
Wait, how long are you doing the compressions for? Exactly. How long are you doing the compressions for?
I'm just saying, whenever I have to do, I'm like, yep, I ain't got to do nothing called exercise today. Nothing. The core got to work out. I'm sweating. Listen, that's the purpose of exercise.
Wow.
I work out the back. I work out the arms.
Including your own compression.
The core. I'm saying.
Oh my goodness.
That's so fun.
Hilarious. Now, let me ask a question here. Have any of you been to a therapist? I don't need to know why. I just want to know if you've had the experience of going to therapy and talking to someone, and would you recommend it for someone else?
I myself have not gone, but it's a fact that I just don't want to pay the out-of-pocket fee for me. I know I shouldn't be excused, but that's why. But I'm hoping in 2020 that I will make it to a therapist. Keep going. I'm just being honest.
No.
I don't think I've had moments where I'm like, probably should, but no.
I have. And honestly, Akua, the only reason why is because it was free. If I had to pay for that, I'd be like, no, I'm gonna pray this one out. I'm just gonna pray.
And I'm sure people can agree because therapists are not cheap. But
Very
hey,
expensive.
yeah.
Facts. Listen, after my 5 free sessions were up, I was like, I'm good. I think I'm good now. Legit. I haven't gone back. But now I'm like, I need to go back.
Yeah, I was about to say, as someone who has had therapy, and it was free when it started out because it was through that EAP program.
Yeah.
That it's really interesting. So normally when we talk to one another, we have a sister circle kind of thing, right? So when we talk to one another, we are pouring out to one another, but it's not an unbiased pour out, right? This person knows you, they're connected to you, they support you unconditionally, and so sometimes you don't really hear yourself. I don't know if you catch what I'm saying. Like it's not a great mirror for what's going on. When you speak to someone who's trained, number one, and who has an unbiased view of what's going on and can guide you through that thought process, it's completely different. It helps. It really does help. Yes, it is expensive, because when I had to start paying for it, I was like, okay, this can't last much longer. This is a bill. This is a whole bill. Like, this is tab payment kind of bill. I don't know about this, sister, but but it did help. I think it really did help. I think I learned some strategies there that really helped me to cope. I could probably benefit from going back, but as you said, the cost, we balance the cost in our head, but then how much does it cost for your peace?
Right. For your sanity.
And is prayer enough? Like, yes, prayer is a wonderful tool for you to be able to communicate and pour out and get that release, and faith is a very strong tool in healing, but sometimes you need someone to help you guide through the process. And so prayer might not be enough, and that's okay. That if prayer is not doing it, it's okay. Doesn't mean you stop praying or you stop believing, but it means that you may need other tools to help you get through whatever you're going through. So a therapist, I'm sure that we kind of need to kind of I will look up and see if I can find programs around that say, hey, we give you a discount or something, or help out people for a couple of months. I know that within the hospital system, the EAP program is how people get free sessions for like up to 3 to 5. And then afterwards, you can start paying for those sessions if you need to. Okay?
Because I think therapists, like even when I tell like my patients, I think we should think of them like a life coach. It's like, yes, what you're going through is normal, but it's just how you deal with it. And these people just walk you through it. And as you said, it's an unbiased. So it's someone who doesn't know you, doesn't know any background, doesn't know anything. So I agree. It's a good person to visit. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And like you said, like you asked a good question, like, is praying enough? And part of me feels bad for saying no, but then sometimes it's not. Like, think about the person who comes in hypertensive emergency, like blood pressure 200 over 120, stroke. Oh, we're just gonna pray about it. Yes, do that, but you're here and we can take care of it. So garlic and flaxseed oil is not going to help you.
That's another
that's a whole other session.
I'm just saying, like,
actually, a quick plug for that podcast. Stay tuned. We're gonna have a naturopath on one of these episodes. Yes. So
I said, but I mean, honestly, like the same way that we would say, yes, pray about the high blood pressure, pray about the diabetes, pray about the kidney failure, pray about the cancer. But you know what? God put doctors on the earth as well, and He allowed us.
Let me just quickly gain this. Faith without works is dead.
Thank you. There you go. I don't have to say nothing else.
For those that are Christian belief, and I'm sure there's a translation in every religion that says that you can't expect for God to show up if you won't show up for yourself.
Right.
So you're praying over the diabetes, but you're not controlling your diet, and you're praying over the hypertension, but you're still eating salt, and you're praying over all these situations, but you're not making any effective change. It's the same thing with mental health. If you continue to, and now we're getting into the other part of the conversation. If you continue to surround yourself with the same triggers in the same environment, doing the same thing and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. If you want to have a change, you have to make a change.
Yeah, you have to do something. So
you have to do something different. And you can go to church and you can go and pray, and those things are wonderful outlets for us. It's another support system, but sometimes it's not enough. And it's okay if it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's okay if it's not. It's okay if you have to take some medication for a little bit. There's nothing wrong with a little Paxil, a little Fexa. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with needing a little bit of medication. Because some of these things are hormonal balances and chemical imbalances.
Yeah.
I agree.
And the way we eat, the things that we eat for food now, that's a whole nother podcast, affect our hello, the chicken got hormones in it.
Your mental health is just like your health anyway. Your brain is tied to the rest of your body. So if this isn't healthy, then it's going to affect everything else. So you got to take care of it too. We all have to take care of it.
Exactly. So let me ask another question. If, let's say you had a situation where you had to seek professional help, and let's say your job found out about it, do you think it would negatively impact anything at your job? I've heard some people say that's the reason they don't disclose what's going on, because they think it's going to have an impact at their work as a physician.
I think it will, because, I mean, I've looked in some states' application, like if you have a medical license, they actually ask if you have health illness. And unfortunately, I feel like mental health illness is kind of scrutinized a little bit more than other illnesses, to be honest with you. So, and then for us as physicians, it's all about reputation. And I feel like it will, to be honest with you. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't do anything about it, nor go for help.
But why aren't we as a community more supportive? We understand what you know, that people can go through these situations, that we're dealing with a high stress environment. We still have this anticipation of this godlike ability to be immune to illness ourselves. This whole thought of physician heal thyself, we still prescribe to that in 2020. Why can't we be more sensitive as a community to one another when someone's going through it?
Because people still expect us to be God, and people expect us to be perfect and not have our own issues. And our goal in life is to help everybody else, and the person who's helping others can have an issue. That we still unfortunately have the God complex that most people have. You know, it's like, oh, the doctor's here, everything's gonna get better, you know, everything's gonna be fixed. And it's like, well, who can fix the fixer?
Right.
You know, and I do think, like kind of what she was saying, there's a stigma with if you have some type of mental issue, whether depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia. You know, and a lot of us most likely click no on those applications because you don't want any questioning and you don't want to possibly lose a job. And then it's unfortunate, but until these companies, people are more comfortable with talking about mental illness and probably realizing that everybody has some degree of something going on and it's normalized, we'll continue to kind of mask ourselves and our personal issues. It is unfortunate.
So let's talk about things that people can do. Any recommendations that you have for folks that feel like, you know, they're going through something? And we talked about therapy, and we talked about it's okay for, you know, prayer not to be enough. But what are some of the things that they can do in their everyday life? We talked about things to escape, ways to escape from the stressors. But what are some of the things they can do in their everyday life to mitigate stress?
I mean, you talked about things like Lubna mentioned the mindfulness app. So, you know, I'm sure there are hundreds and thousands of them out there. So, I mean, if that's, find something, try something, and eventually you'll find something that works for you. I mean, if it's, you know, for some it's like an app, or some it's yoga, or getting on the Peloton, or running, you know, like they're training for a marathon, or listening to music. Just find something that works for you. And if you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. Like if it's a family member or a friend, or maybe talk to yourself in the mirror. I don't know. Or if you can, find out through your job if you have access to, like we mentioned, for healthcare people, the like an employee assistance program. I think it's probably called that in a lot of places, because I have another friend who works in a bank and she had the same thing, and it was called by the same name. So ask around if you have, some kind of resource like that. And I think, don't they have like online therapists now where you can do like a Skype session with somebody?
Really
So
cool.
so I mean, there's you're gonna have to do some legwork in the beginning if you want to find someone who you don't know who is a professional. You have to find something that helps you kind of release the pressure, because it will get to you. There's only so much that can
It will.
happen.
So one of the things I'm going to say, and we had this conversation, Emily, is no is a full sentence.
Oh, it is a full sentence. Yes, Jesus.
and
I use it frequently.
There is nothing wrong with saying no, and it's you need to create boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of times as female physicians, people expect us to be able to do everything. And I mean, you go to work and you work a 12 to 14 hour day, and then you come home and food expect to be cooked and house clean and taking care of kids. And it's a lot. For one person, it's a lot of things to go through. You still have your whole life outside of medicine and then your life in medicine. And people expect, people ask you to do things like, oh, can you speak here? Can you do this? Can you do that? It's okay to say no. It's okay to make time for yourself, And
you don't have to give any explanation afterwards. The answer could just be no. No.
Yes. No is a full sentence. And you should set healthy boundaries. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's okay to distance yourself from toxic people. Somebody told me, this was years ago, because y'all know my personality. The minute somebody is toxic in my life, I get the hatchet and I work quick.
You need to cut it.
Exactly.
You need to cut it.
I'm out.
All right.
I don't take no time. I'm like, oh, what? And someone was like, Kristen, do you think that that's entirely healthy? And I was like, well, you have to ask yourself a question. You have to ask yourself, is this person adding or taking away from my life? And you have to do the pros and cons. You have to say, okay, is this just an incident or is this a pattern?
Right.
Because people can change, but people don't always change. And not everybody is supposed to be there for a lifetime. Some people are for a season, so you need to know when time is up. And when that connection has expired, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying whatever this connection is toxic and it needs to be terminated. And that's fine.
Right.
If you want to have a conversation with that individual for closure, then go right ahead. I don't have conversations with them. I pray about it and I move on. I am contented by decision. God, heal it. And there we go. Yeah. You're laughing. It's honest. I'm being serious. Yeah.
That's how we laugh so hard.
This is true. This is what I do. I'm like, what? No. When you have too many things going on in your life, you don't have time. You don't have time for this. You just don't. Yeah. And you have to value you, or who's going to value you.
Yeah.
And we're taking care of very sick people. And if I don't take care of me, how can I take care of them?
Right.
So we have to be more vigilant about that. But okay, so we're going to wrap up this session. Any last words, ladies, for any recommendations?
I just want to add that the only way that we need to fight like this whole stigma against like mental health, and I think the only way to do it is just about talking about it, being open about it. So even this medium, I think it's great because other women can hear about it, or even males can hear about it and be like, oh, I'm not alone. Like there are other people out there thinking the same thing. So I think that's the way we can beat this stigma that's attached to it.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure talking with you ladies as usual. Thank you for tuning into MDFEME. You can reach out to us on Instagram. We have a Gmail, and we'll have our website live in a few days. So, yay. Nice stuff.